Hello, everybody. Welcome to your May edition of Post ProRes, the very first show for the month of May here at Post Wrestling. How better to start off this month than with WH Park, who is here with us to chat everything going on in the Japanese pro wrestling scene. Hello, WH.
Hi, John. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well on this Monday afternoon as we are going to be catching up. It is always sometimes some gaps in between these shows for us, but plenty of WH Park here at Post Wrestling. I just got through listening to yourself and Dylan Fox going back to December of 2000 and a hell of a tag match between Masafuchi and Toshiaki Kawada against our current Triple Crown holder Yuji Nagata and Takashi Iizuka. Here was Nagata almost 22 plus years ago, having a classic tag, and now he's awaiting the winner of this week's Carnival final.
That's right. Who we'll talk about the finals, like B block set. We just got to find out who's going to be A block, and then we'll get our Champion Carnival. We'll talk about that. That's on our agenda today.
Yes.
By the way, I'm joining an exclusive club here at Post Wrestling. I don't know if you know this, but
whoa! Look at that, everyone. So
I just finished this yesterday. So
this is the official car of Post Wrestling, everyone.
Right. The Porsche.
We are now 3 deep on the Porsches.
So if you want to get on the club, the Porsche brothers, you need to go buy one and build it and show it on camera.
You know what? As we're going for the high price cars here at Post Wrestling, maybe the next step is going to be getting those ridiculous fur jackets that Dusty and Magnum TA got together. Maybe we'll all get those next.
Full fur, please. I don't support the real fur industry.
Yeah, well, none of us do here at Post. But there you have it. How long did that take you to put together?
I did it in 2 sessions. I'd say combined maybe about 2 hours.
All right.
I will say stickering is not my forte. It's something I have to really work on.
I don't know who came up with stickering and how they love it at Lego. I mean, it does add to the finished product, but God, is it annoying, and it needs to be an easier process. Like, you need to have a certain skill set of stickering on like some of these fine details of a car.
Wei said he uses the block separator, and I don't understand it. I use tweezers to put the stickers on.
I used my eyes and what I've been given. Okay. I'm using my natural tools, and it can be very frustrating. Like, if you're somebody that pays attention to detail, it could ruin the whole experience for you if you get the sticker wrong.
That's right.
But we're not here to talk about Porsches, although we are always open to new topics. Want to go back to last weekend, and this is how fast the wrestling world moves, that this feels like it's well in the rear view. But last Sunday, Stardom presented its biggest show in its history. I don't think that's hyperbole to state. They had over 5,500 people at the Yokohama Arena, 5,539 All-Star Grand Queendom. And this was, I thought, a hell of a show, WH, and I've got to speak about it a bit. But how much of the show have you gotten to see? And did you view this as Stardom's biggest show to date? And what's it going to mean for the company moving forward?
So I watched everything except the Rumble, because I hate the Rumble. I hate the Rumble in every fucking company in Japan because it's fucking stupid. Anyways, but I watched the whole show, and overall, top to bottom, I thought very enjoyable with the like everything from the Goddesses tag title up to the main event. I thought was exceptionally good and well worth going out of your way to see every match in those. And the great thing about a lot of these matches, they're not super long, but they felt like very complete matches to me. So I was like not complaining about the length, like going over the kind of the results here. I'm looking at the times. I'm like, wow, that felt shorter than that felt longer than what is actually listed at. But overall, yeah, really good show. They got as many people as they could on the show,
including 19 on the Rumble, which was your longest match of the show.
Well, that's one I skipped, John.
So you saved 26 minutes and 41 seconds of your day.
I saved a lot more from my soul. I felt, not watching a Rumble from Bushi Road promotion. But yeah, I'm really excited about the direction of Stardom overall, because it really felt like a passing to a new generation, not so much a generation, but a new crop of, okay, these are people we're going to push Mina Shirakawa, Tam Nakano to a higher level. And the people that, like, for example, in the Wonder of Stardom title match, I think like Saya Kamitani is going to be poised to go to the red belt level and still be in the top mix in the company. And like you always have people like Utami Hashishida, she's going to be reinserted back into the main event scene. And it is, I feel, the top to bottom, the best roster in wrestling today. And I feel also like has some of the best, most consistent booking that doesn't insult my intelligence. So I'm very high on it. And do I think it's Stardom's biggest show to date? I think so. Yeah. I think there's a lot of buzz coming out of it, particularly because Mercedes Moné was wrestling on it, and you got a lot more Western fans watching this. I do agree, I think, with the point that I think you and Wei made, in that I think they made a big mistake not putting this on Stardom World as a live broadcast instead of and doing a separate pay-per-view instead, because I think the point being, okay, I'm going to subscribe to this. I'm going to watch this Mercedes match. I'll subscribe for like what, $8 US or something like that, and then just forget about it. And then I'll just be paying Stardom all this money for, like every month. And
you get them in the door. And I would suggest like you do shoot some angle on the show that does drive you to the next big event, so you know what's coming up. Because again, as a one-off purchase on PIA, I mean, I'm sure you enjoyed the show, but if the goal is long-term, you get them into Stardom World and they're blown away by this show. I think they're keeping that on their subscription package and not just, sign up for the $8 and then cancel it the next day. I think you would have had a pretty strong retention that way. And for all we know, they may have got, because of the buzz coming out of this, people joining later. But this to me was the event. And the other point that we brought up is, I think, the need for English commentary for their big shows every month. It is a big obstacle, I think, for newer fans to jump on board and be up to date on the stories that they want to be.
I think more than just the big shows, they should do Cork and Hall shows, because that's usually where they shoot their, like most companies shoot their big angles at Cork and Hall shows. So for Stardom, do it at Cork and Hall, and like the big shows. And I think you're not going to overextend like the budget trying to get English commentary for those types of shows. And then just be active, like direct people to your Twitter English account and stuff. So I think it's an easy product.
I want to know what this budget is for English commentary. Like, I understand it is a cost, but in comparison to what other costs you are spending on this, honestly, you could get Karen Peterson and WH Park on a reliable internet stream to do commentary, I feel, and you could probably pull it off in different geographical locations.
Listen, I want business class to Japan. The
budget might be a little bit too much for a WH Park.
The Pearl. I want a room back at the Pearl Hotel in Ryogoku where we stayed when we were all in Japan together, John. I will settle for nothing. You don't have to put me in like the Tokyo Dome City hotel. I will take the Ryogoku Pearl because that's a great area to be in.
Well, were there any of the 5 title changes, any that were big surprises to you, including the main event where Julia dropped the title to Tam Nakano?
I think the one that surprised me the most was like Mina Shirakawa winning the Wonder of Stardom title, because I personally don't feel like she was at that level going into the match. I know they had a great story because she got legit injured, her teeth knocked out by Kamitani with the Phoenix Splash. But it was surprising, but in a pleasant way, because I thought, okay, the match itself was really good. I thought the story her and Kamitani told was really good. And she feels like, okay, she's ready for this belt. She's ready to be on that next level. Like in the follow-up is what's important, but I have faith in Stardom's booking of her that the follow-up will be good. And she's going to be joining Kamitani, in that tier of people who are just on the cusp of going to a higher level, like with Tam Nakano. But I think I'm going to say of all the title matches, John, my favorite was actually the Artist tag team title match, the trios match, because I thought it delivered in such a way that it was different from everything else. It was super violent, this match.
It was violent, and it also had the coolest cover at the end with Sari Ano doing the backslide jackknife cover. I mean, that was just a slick this was a great match, and I think it only enforces how loaded of a show this was, when this was maybe some people's number 3 or 4 on the show, but it was an excellent match.
Yeah. So, and then the main event, I don't think I'm as high about it as like a lot of other people, but I thought it was really good. I will say I was completely distracted by all the the fluffiness of Tom's costume. Like, I think, hey, for your entrance, awesome. Just get rid of all that stuff when you're actually wrestling. It's really like the ribbon in the back. I was
Only
like,
WH Park would have that critique of the main event. Fluffy, the fluffiness
seriously,
factor.
I couldn't, like, I was just like, how can she wrestle with like this giant fluffy ribbon tied to the back of her costume? It's so distracting for me. Anyways, but other than that, great match. Like, you're talking about the headbutts, they were kind of sickening. Yes. Oh, the Hashimoto match for sure.
The one in the Shuri Hashimoto match that got the Chris Charlton Jesus Christ legit call out of him. That I certainly could have done without. Just before we get away from Stardom, in that Artist of Stardom match, it was then announced Suzu Suzuki is leaving Prominence. Dave Meltzer now reporting that she is Stardom bound, which I think everyone assumed when she made that announcement. Tell me a little bit about what you see as the upside for this 20-year-old that has. This seems like this could be a big breakout year for her in terms of international fans discovering her.
She is a prodigy in wrestling. She is someone who's good at traditional wrestling, even though she really wanted to make her name in deathmatch wrestling. And, I'm not a huge fan of that, but she's actually good in that stuff because like she has a passion for wrestling in general. I think people will be like pleasantly surprised if you've never seen Suzu Suzuki wrestle. For someone who's 20 years old, she has like the air of a veteran, someone who's been wrestling like 10 years plus. And she has a really throwback feel to like classic 90s Joshi Pro-Res, like people like Akira Hokuto, Bull Nakano, people like that. Like she's just exudes this like toughness. And I am excited for her to see what she does with Julia, because that's what prompted her and Prominence to come into Stardom in the first place, is to get revenge on Julia. But I think it would be more interesting to see if her and Julia can patch things up. And maybe I would love to see Julia and her tag team. Actually, I think that would be really good. But she is just an excellent pro wrestler. I love the fact that like she's one of the few people in Joshi Pro-Res who still wears wrist tape and tapes up her fists like a real fighter does. Like,
no fluff.
And I know the costuming in Joshi, right? I have no problem with it for the most part, but she's different because she looks like she's gonna beat the fucking shit out of you.
And the last thing on Mercedes Moné coming out of this show, she loses the IWGP Women's Championship, but then it was known she was going to be part of the Resurgence show that comes up later this month in Long Beach, California. And they're introducing a New Japan Strong Women's Championship with a one-night 4-woman tournament with Mercedes against Stephanie Vacour from CMLL. And on the other side, Momo Kogo, who suffered a concussion on this Stardom event last weekend, will be taking on Willow Nightingale representing AEW. So a lot there. But in terms of Mercedes Moné, what do you see as her long-term with New Japan / Stardom? And how would you assess the project of bringing in Mercedes with the goal of expanding its business? How would you look at it now, several matches in?
I think it's successful, like outside of some of the cringy press conferences where she's trying to sing. That aside, I think it's been a successful thing in that it brought attention to, New Japan's burgeoning women's division and to Stardom itself. Like, I think, any buys that this show had outside of Japan can be credited probably a lot to her presence on the show, and especially being in a title match against Mayu Iwatani. But if I'm them, I try to like see, hey, what can we do to extend the relationship? Like, how keep you for another 6 months to a year? I hope this is not it. I really don't understand this strong women's title to some extent. It's just like, why can't you just have the IWGP title come over and be defended in American shores? I thought that was the goal of it.
Was going to be the purpose of the IWGP women's title was this title that could go back and forth. And you've seen Rocky Romero now state, well, this is more of a Japan title and this is our US title. So you're sort of, I can understand, like, you've just introduced this IWGP Women's Championship, and that was the thought, that this was going to be a traveling champion that could be going over to your US shows. And now it seems like there is going to be more of a distinction between the two as well. It's a tournament that I would be very surprised to see Moné not win this tournament, given who is in this. And I would say the question mark about Momo Kogo with a concussion, it's hard to estimate when someone's going to be cleared to compete.
Yeah, we'll see. Like, that prevented her from participating in English commentary with Chris Charlton and Sonny Gutierrez. And I watched it with Japanese commentary as that's my preferred, way of watching any kind of Japanese wrestling. But yeah, I hopefully she'll be okay. She can come to the United States. She's a very talented young wrestler. But if not, I mean, there's no shortage of talented wrestlers that Stardom can send over to participate in this tournament.
So it is Golden Week in Japan. WH, can you explain for people that are maybe not familiar, what is Golden Week in Japan and why do all the companies run big shows midweek?
So the Golden Week is a period of time, a week-long period of time in Japan where like multiple public holidays, national holidays take place. So a lot of people take their vacations, their spring vacations at this time. They'll go overseas, they'll go to other places in Japan. And so it's a great time for people traveling into Tokyo, if you're a wrestling fan, to go and watch a bunch of shows. And that's why people, promotions in Japan hold tons of shows in Tokyo. Like there's probably not a day goes by in Tokyo during Golden Week that there's not at least like 3 wrestling shows of varying levels at various venues happening within one day. The 3 biggest times to go see wrestling in Tokyo would be Golden Week, the G1 Climax Finals, which is coincides with Oban holiday, which is the last month of which is like the summer holidays, and then Christmas, New Year's, which is again, all the companies converge on Tokyo to try to hold as many shows as possible surrounding in this case Golden Week, the big holidays, but in August it's for the G1 Climax. So,
which a big return to Sumo Hall this year for those finals. Just trying to rope you back to Japan for a visit for those final nights at the Sumo Hall.
That's right, in the Sweatbox. Return to the Sweatbox.
So this week, some of the Golden Week shows, Stardom is back on Thursday with a card that has Mina Shirakawa and Natsupoi for the Wonder of Stardom title as well. An interesting tag with Utami and Saya Kamatani against Julia and Maika. So that's going down on Thursday. Noah's got a card we'll go over, but let's go into New Japan because since we last spoke, the era of SANADA has begun, and I don't care about him winning the title. Just 5 guys, the hair. I mean, just give us an assessment of the SANADA makeover, WH, and how you have viewed this transition of Okada to SANADA, and what kind of run you expect from SANADA, as there's certainly more steam behind him than I would say at any point of his New Japan tenure.
I'm having a kind of a wait and see approach to his reign, because I really feel it's kind of like too little too late with him. When he won the title, I was very surprised because I never thought I thought if they were going to pull the trigger on him, they should have done it like, pre-pandemic, like in 2018, 2019, not necessarily winning the title, but like at least winning a G1 or getting the Intercontinental title would have been a good way to slowly build him up to that Okada level. That they're going with him now is interesting. I think he made a really smart decision to change his look. I think it was smart to get him out of LIJ because he'll always be seen as he would have always been seen as like a Naito underling, but now he's the leader of this group with Taichi and the other 3 dudes. It's getting over. I mean, that's the thing. It's getting over in Japan, so it's been successful so far. I still have, like, again, the follow up is important. Like, how long is he going to be champion? What are his matches going to be like as champion? We'll see. And so, again, I'll ask me in like maybe 3 title defenses in if he's still a champion, John.
So he could still end up in the just a GLG column for you.
Sure. But I will say, like, if you're gonna put him in GLG and Noah, he would be the only GLG in that group to me.
Yes.
So
just a good looking guy.
That's right.
Well, on Wednesday, it is a Wrestling Dontaku with SANADA and Hiromu on top for the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship. Never open weight title, Tamatonga against David Finlay. The never open weight 6-man tag titles with Minoru Suzuki, El Desperado, and Ren Narita against Okada, Tanahashi, and Tomohiro Ishii. Zack Sabre Jr. against Jeff Cobb for the TV belt. Kenta versus Hikuleo for the strong open weight title. So we have 5 title matches on top. Naito, Shingo, and Bushi against Taichi, Yoshinobu Kanemaru, and Doki. Shota Umino and new junior heavyweight tag champions Kushida and Kevin Knight take on Aaron Hanare, TJP, and Francesco Akira. Mikey Nichols, Shane Haste, and Kosei Fujita of TMDK against Aussie Open and Great O'Khan. Hiroki Goto, Yoshihashi, Toriano, and Yo against the House of Torture. And in the Young Lions opener, it is Ryohei Oiwa, Yuto Nakashima, Oscar Loibe, and Oleg Boltin, who is being introduced as Boltin Oleg. So I'm going with Oleg Boltin, or we could go with Boleg Olton as well. We could just
with a BOW.
Yeah. Why not?
Bow-legged
Bow-legged Olton. Yes.
Yeah, go with that.
The many differentiations on the name. Number one, how do you like this main event with SANADA and Hiromu? This is certainly a more out of the box main event for New Japan.
I love it. I mean, I'm on record. I think him and Desperado should be heavyweights. They should not be juniors anymore. They would both freshen up the heavyweight scene in that company. And yeah, I love it. I think it's going to be a great match, and it's a good test for Hiromu to see like how he adapts to a heavyweight style, how much of his junior heavyweight mannerisms will he keep, and what will he adopt to become challenging for I mean, really being thrown into the deep end, challenging for the world heavyweight title here against the current champion SANADA.
He's quietly having an awesome year. Like this title run, he has just had some outstanding matches this year. And I'm curious if, like, certainly I think everyone is assuming SANADA retains the title here, but if they go out and have just excellent match, how much do you think that this pushes people towards the idea of Hiromu in the G1 this year? Is that getting ahead of yourself?
No, I don't think so at all. I mean, I
feel every year we talk about a junior heavyweight diving into the G1 and then we're left empty at the end. But this would be a year I would love to see Hiromu. I know he's in the best of the Super Juniors, but to turn around and enter the G1, to me, that this kind of a main event booking would suggest that that's at least in their thinking.
I think they have to look at Hiromu the same way they did as Will Ospreay. Like Will Ospreay, he accomplished everything he could in the junior heavyweight division. Okay, now it's time for you to. We want to push you as a heavyweight. I'm going to say this is the testing the waters. This is like a prelude to him finishing up as a junior heavyweight, maybe with this Best of Super Juniors tournament, whoever the winner of that is. I don't think it'll be Hiromu, but if it's him, he has an excellent way of saying, like, I'm retiring, like I'm vacating the title because I've done everything I could. I won the BOSJ as champion, but I think it'd be better if someone wins the BOSJ, challenges him, beats him for that belt, and then he goes to heavyweight. He goes to the G1. He becomes part of that main event mix in the heavyweight division. I just want Desperado to fucking join him, because like they just pull the trigger on Desperado. He doesn't have to be in the juniors anymore either.
Do you have a sense of interest at the moment in New Japan that they are mixing things up? Like where's your level of excitement at the moment for New Japan?
It's higher than it's higher than it's been recently, because I like a lot of I think they freshened up the factions with TMDK and Strong Style. I really like that trio, and I'm intrigued about the mid card a little bit more. Some of the names, like, I've seen this match a million times before. I'll probably skip those. But anything involving like the newer guys like Shota Umino, Ren Narita, TMDK, Zach as this TV title champion, I'm interested. These things feel fresh to me, and it feels like, again, like Stardom, there's like this move to like, okay, we got to start elevating people. We have to start freshening things up in our products, because like Naito is, he's getting there where he's going to be like, has to be moving down the card, and like Tanahashi is already kind of that in that sense. But like Okada, I mean, he's still got years left in him as a top guy. But you need to start moving Umino up, Great Okan up, and Ren Narita up. And then whoever they want to push as their top foreign guys, start pushing them. It looks like Zach is going to be like their top foreign guy. It seems to me like this. I think this is a test run to see how he conducts himself as a singles champion. And I'm excited if he finally kind of ascends to a higher level, which I think he would kill it as an IWGP heavyweight champion.
Also, since we last spoke, Aussie Open, they have now won both the IWGP tag titles and the Strong Openweight tag championships. And I did get to see the last two matches of these card this past Saturday, Satsuma no Kuni in Kagoshima Arena, where Aussie Open retained against Shane Haste and Mikey Nichols. I thought this was Haste and Nichols' best tag match in a long time. They went 25 minutes, and Aussie Open has ascended to become one of the top tag teams in the entire world at this point. And it was just excellent heat for this match. And it was Kyle Fletcher, who essentially, after all of these recent like legit hard ways that he suffered in matches, like there is this sympathy now for Kyle Fletcher, who just gets murdered during these matches, and he is the Ricky Morton of this group. And then you have Mark Davis as sort of the enforcer that can do all of this extraordinary offense. And it came down to their lariat attack onto Haste and Nichols, and then a double version to Nichols and the Coriolis. Just an excellent tag match. And then Hiroki Goto and Yoshihashi appear, and it appears that they are going for a rematch with Aussie Open, but then they get jumped by the House of Torture, who are jumped by the United Empire. So House of Torture getting into the tag scene. So no good things can last forever. But
you know what this means, John? 4-way.
Oh, I can't wait. That'll be the challenge for Aussie Open after they've had just these extraordinary matches over the past month. And then the main event was Shingo Takagi and Taichi in a Takagi triad match. Essentially 3 out of 5 falls where you can win by pinfall, submission, countout, referee stoppage, or knockout. And it came down to they were tied at 2 falls apiece. And the MVP of this match was Hiromu, who's on the apron at the end, and he is pleading for Takagi, who is in the Dragon Sleeper, and his head is like at a 90-degree angle from this Dragon Sleeper, and he's just screaming for Takagi, and he's torn. Do I throw in the towel? And in the end, the Red Shoes just calls off the match. This is a long investment. It's 43 minutes and 39 seconds, and I thought it was still an excellent match. These two are terrific together. The length will dissuade some people, but I think these triad matches that Takagi has had have been some of certainly the high points of this KOPW division. Not to say that the bar has been all that high since this Takagi reign, but a new champion in Taichi coming out of this. So I would certainly recommend the last 2 matches on this card from this past weekend.
Yeah, I watched them. I thought they were good. I'm very low person on Aussie Open. I'll be honest with you. They don't really.
I thought they would be more up your alley.
No, they really don't do that much for me. They're fine. Like, I think they're they should join just 5 guys, just 7 guys. They could make it that. They need some foreign talent in that group. But they're fine. It freshens up. Them being tag champions freshens up that division, and it's been a strong division recently with Bishamon in that position. And I like the addition of TMDK. I'm not excited about what would it be? Would it be Evil and Takashi? Yujiro.
Evil and Yujiro going for those tag titles.
Oh my god!
As exciting as my next set of tax returns.
Oh my god! No, I don't. Unless it's like an elimination 4-way and they get beaten like 3 minutes. No, I have no interest in seeing that. And yeah, I it's interesting. Like, Takagi really brought some legitimacy to this KOPW thing, which I still hate, by the way. I think it's this company has too many belts, way too many belts. It's ridiculous. But hey, it was a hard hitting match, and fuck Taichi. I'm not a huge Taichi fan, but he acquitted himself very well in this match. And yeah, I'm just wondering if his first title would be like karaoke challenge for the KOPW title. Should be
guaranteed. It's going to be on location. Toru Yano's going to challenge him at his bar.
That's right.
Yeah, they'll have a ramen eat off at Kawada's.
I don't think Kawada let Taichi in, but yeah, no, karaoke lip syncing challenge. Toriano and Taichi, book that fucking shit. I'll watch that, John. I'll totally watch that.
Well, something I know you will be watching is the Best of the Super Juniors tournament. It is the next big tour starting May the 12th. They have 12 shows through May 28th, and they have announced the blocks. So in the A block, it is Kushida and Ryusuke Taguchi, Leo Rush, Doki, Hiromu Takahashi going in as champion, Teton, TJP, Taiji Ishimori, Sho, and the big addition, Speedball Mike Bailey. On the B block side, it is El Desperado, Yo, Master Wato, Kevin Knight, Yoshinobu Kanemaru, Bushi, Robbie Eagles, Francesco Akira, Clark Connors, and Dan Maloney making up our two blocks. I think this is a tremendous lineup that they have.
Oh,
I think the
yeah.
Speedball edition alone makes these A block shows are going to be like must see. Like every show is going to have some incredible pairings.
I like A block a little bit more than B block for sure. Mainly because of Mike Bailey and Kushida coming back to the BOSJ. I think we're seeing a nice like little renaissance for Kushida as a junior. Like I thought, I watched back the Macklin match he had at Rebellion on pay-per-view. We were there live, of course. And it was a
you got to watch the match for the first time then on
this, basically.
We didn't have the best sight lines, but nonetheless,
no.
it was a very good match from a live perspective. But I'm sure watching it was a better watch than where we were seated.
And I think Kushida will be good in the role of elevating the younger guys in this division, because I think him being tag champions with Kevin Knight, I think is a perfect role for him. I think it's great for Kevin Knight to be his partner and be the tag champions with him. But yeah,
it's
like
a huge
think,
tournament for Kevin Knight. Like I see him scoring some big wins in this B block, sort of being like a 500 player, but getting a few key wins.
Yeah. So my hope, my fantasy, like wild card prediction, John, will be like Sho Tanaka finds his integrity and a last name, and then he goes to the finals against another guy who finds his last name, Yohei Komatsu. And then like Sho Tanaka fulfills the promise of him like 5 years ago. It just leaves House of Torture and becomes Sho Tanaka again. That's my hope, John. High voltage Sho Tanaka, come back to me. I miss you.
If there's anyone that needs who needs the life raft more in this tournament, Sho Tanaka or Master Wato?
Master Wato's a lost case. I don't give a shit about Master Wato.
He's too far. Like the lifesaver can't extend that far.
You could save Sho. You could save Sho Tanaka. I know Karen Peterson's watching this right now. She's like, yes, manifest into reality.
How about Leo Rush? How do you see him faring? Who do you see coming out of this A block? Is the safe pick is Hiromu going to the finals, but I just find that to be so. You have all these different challengers that I would love to see Hiromu, protect him, but he is kind of loses on the last day, set up the finals, and then he's got a few opponents coming out of this. Like Hiromu does not need another Best of the Super Juniors win. And this has been a year where New Japan, they have not been always going with the safe option that they have been the last few years.
Again, so my wild card would be, like a revitalized Sho. But realistically, like I think, Leo Rush should win. And what I like about A block is it's up in the air, John. Like I can see Mike Bailey winning this thing, going to the finals, giving him a big push. But yeah, Leo Rush, I loved his match with Hiromu for the title.
It was
the last show that they had. So that would be an excellent way to get him back into a title match with Hiromu. If he wins, they're gonna have a match in the tournament. That's amazing. B block, I don't know.
Connors is going to be booked strong, I think, with the addition to the Bullet Club. I don't know if he wins it, but I do see him being pretty big player there.
I would give like a big push to Robbie Eagles, because I think really they need to like kind of reestablish him as like a top player in this division. So I'm gonna go my true prediction is Robbie Eagles in B block and Leo Rush in A. So all Gaikokujin finals in where's the finals? Is it in Oda Ward?
It's Oda Ward.
Yeah. There you go. Leo Rush versus Robbie Eagles, and Leo Rush wins the Best of the Super Juniors and challenges Hiromu.
I generally always enjoy the Best of the Super Juniors, but this year this field has me very intrigued.
And you know what, John? It's not so long. This tournament.
No,
it's pretty manageable.
It's with all due respect to Stardom, when they like the Cinderella tournament that will kick off, I think it's mid-July, and the finals are September 30th. I'm sorry, 2.5 month tournament.
No,
I can't do it.
I can't follow. How do you expect us to follow like the points and like who's wrestled?
Quick, concise. Like you need to really grab people's attention. Like the G1 is 5 weeks, and that's pushing it sometimes. So anyway, we need to manage some of these tournament lengths. Something that is not going to be too far away is Will Ospreay's contract. He did reveal that his deal is up in February of next year. And after he did this interview with DAZN, and I guess he saw the feedback, he then did a follow-up. He's like, I'm sure we're going to like work things out, me and New Japan. I'm not too worried about that. But nonetheless, sounds like, come February, he would be silly not to see what the offers are out there. And by next February, both companies here in North America, you would think, would be making aggressive plays. But if you are advising one Will Ospreay and looking at where he is now, who is about to celebrate his 30th birthday, he's only 29 at the moment. And what is he looking for in the next 5 years? Because to me, this is going to be a major contract that is out there. At the same time that the timing works out of Kenny Omega's deal is coming up, the Young Bucks, like there could certainly be a big power shift in pro wrestling depending on where these offers come from.
Yeah, I mean, with Will Ospreay, it's interesting. I know Benno over at Grapple like talks about like that Will Ospreay has said that he does not want to move to the United States, or I don't know if that's public, but he's like said it like to people that Benno knows that know Will Ospreay that like I don't want to move to the States. So that's a big hurdle. I think that's why he likes Japan, because like he can stay in England and then just travel to do the tours and then go back to England. But I mean, if he's smart about his career, I think he should leave. Like that's what I would do if I was him. I would be like, I'm going to test the waters. I've done all I can in New Japan. Let's test the waters out there, especially if they're going to offer him. And I would assume both AEW and WWE would offer him a lot more money than what he's getting from New Japan right now. And then I think he would work less, that like if he worked either for those companies. I also, like, if I'm him in February, I would see like, what has Jay White done in AEW before I sign with them? I would say, okay, because that's the parallel that you would have to compare yourself to if you're Will Ospreay. It's like, have they done something with Jay White where he's now a main event player in that company from now until February? If not, I would seriously consider an offer from the WWE, because I think at that time, maybe WWE is going to be in a acquisition mode where they're like, we want to freshen up our product. We really want to like lay the groundwork for like a next crop of people to become big time players in our company on like, and I don't know when their TV rights deals are coming up, but that could be a thing. Like, we're look at all this talent we've acquired and then like, we're going to put them on these TV shows that we got big contracts for. Like, so if I'm Will Ospreay, yeah, I decide to leave. It's just a question, which one is going to be a better fit for me, AEW or WWE?
I mean, the WWE one, it would almost certainly have to coincide with, uprooting yourself. And I always look at it that, believe me, there are plenty of people that I think do not want to move. But when you have that offer in front of you, I mean, your mind can change, definitely. With AEW, it's a more interesting one that I see them being a lot more accommodating to the wants of an Ospreay. And when you look at AEW, is there a value, or is there more value in a Ospreay being that kind of special attraction that does not need to be there every week? And when you have a Kota Ibushi that's out there, when you've seen Vikingo come in for special shots, of having people that are sort of special attractions that maybe they only wrestle once every other month, but when they come in, it's a bigger deal, and they can offer that. One thing I would be almost sure of is that Ospreay kind of tapering down the independent shots that he's doing. I just don't know, unless it's just a pure love that he has for Rev Pro to continue these. Like, there are such high expectations for these matches, and how many, like, you want to be, I think, preserving yourself for your 30s. I mean, this is a guy that has been through the ringer in his 20s, and this should be the decade that he is making money off this reputation that he has garnered for himself.
Yeah, I mean, again, with the AEW special attraction, like, I don't think I've, seen Tony Khan push anyone who's a special attraction to to like a John Moxley, Kenny Omega, Hangman Page level. So if I'm Will Ospreay, I don't want to just be a special attraction. I think there's a desire in him to be a champion, to be a draw in America. Like, I mean, he says he doesn't want to move to America, and I can understand that. But like, again, if they throw enough money at him, it's like, okay, we'll help you look for a place. What, blah, blah, blah. I'm sure he'll go. It'd be like, okay, yeah, I'm going to go. And again, if I'm him, I'm looking at Jay White. I'm looking at what have they done with Jay White from this point forward to February. And then that's what I would, and if everything else is kind of equal, money, scheduling, that's what I look at. Is like, how are they pushing Jay White? Because if that's how they're going to push Jay White, that's how they're going to push me probably. So
given the timing of the contract in February, does that make it difficult when you're booking this G1 and next year's Tokyo Dome, or do you just go with it with the idea that, you know, you would certainly figure Ospreay is one of your favorites to win the G1, that, okay, he's working January 4th regardless. We go forward and you hope for the best that he's sticking around, but you make that booking decision closer to January if you don't have a commitment with him beyond the next month.
I mean, I maintained that I think his January 4th match is going to be the rematch with Kenny Omega. I don't think they're going to do it anywhere else. I think New Japan wants that for Wrestle Kingdom next January. And that if that's his swan song, like, you can easily vacate the US title or have him put someone else over for it in February if he doesn't resign. I don't think he needs to win the G1. I think he can go very deep into it and like become a block finalist, but I don't think he has to win the G1 per se to get the rematch with Omega for the US title at the next January 4th show. So I don't really think it's a factor for booking the G1 necessarily Will Ospreay's contract status.
Coming up at the end of June, it is Forbidden Door 2, an event that WH Park will be attending, and we will have a special announcement about coming out later this week. So stay tuned.
Yeah, we're gonna build Porsches in John Pollock's backyard.
Yeah, we're gonna. It's gonna be Fast and the Furious, the Toronto edition, Toronto Drift. What are you looking at for this show in terms of just your expectation level of what headlines this card, what you expect to see on the show? And the fact is, they have the title off of Okada, which from a political standpoint kind of opens the door, pardon the pun, of matches that you can make for a show like this.
All right, so my hope is I want to see the match that we were promised last year. I want to see Tanahashi versus CM Punk. That could be your semi-main or your double main if it's like a New Japan way of doing things. But I think what they should book, John, is Okada Omega in the main event. I think that would like blow the roof off of the Toronto, of the Scotiabank Center. I would pop.
That arena is not going to pay for itself, so I hope they secure the roof for that. I think it's totally time to do Omega and Okada again, and you're doing it outside of Japan. I think that it's to me, I just feel like obviously you can do Omega and if you were going to do Omega and Ospreay outside of Wrestle Kingdom, I see All In being a much better spot for that, where it's Ospreay in England as opposed to Toronto. And to me, Okada and Omega, it's like there's nothing holding you back from doing that match. Whereas Okada holding the title, it's a bit trickier to book him. But I think with that, with just all the different options you have of even if it's the only downside of doing a Danielson and Zack Sabre Jr. is the idea of a 15-minute time limit on that. But that's certainly, like, there's all these options. They could do these Forbidden Doors for years to come, and you have all these interesting combinations. But I
hope Forbidden Door is the Toronto annual event. Like all out. No, All Out is the Chicago September event. I want Forbidden Door to be the Toronto event because, like, I think it'd be great for them to establish a beachhead with a signature event here in Toronto. There's so many possibilities, John. I mean, God, like you can like tag teams matches, FTR versus the Aussie Open, or FTR versus Bishamon, or like
Evil and Yujiro against the Guns.
Sure, on the pre-show that I'm still looking at the 3 T-shirts that they'll be selling at the AEW merchandise stand. Sure, like even like if you're including Stardom in this, like Jamie Hayter versus like Mayu Iwatani, or
you've got the belt off Julia, so very similar to Okada. That opens.
See,
the door.
they should book Julia for All In because she is British. She's half British, so you could play that up, and I think she would like just open so many people's eyes in the West if she appeared on that show. And
then Suzu Suzuki against John Moxley.
I'm putting my money on Suzu there if that happens.
All right. Well, that's coming up on June 25th, and if you look at it just from a ticket perspective, like Forbidden Door to me has now established itself as the big show of the year for AEW. Like, look at you know, they of their 4 pay-per-views before Forbidden Door, they were all sort of weighted equally. But man, you look at the advances for Double or Nothing in Vegas, and you know, Toronto has like doubled that in terms of tickets that are out. It to me is the novelty is still very fresh of doing interpromotion, and it's becoming now the big show of the year for AEW.
People are hoping for a glimpse of us on in the wild on the streets of Toronto, John. Like maybe they're going to be like, "Oh my God, is that WH Park outside of a Tim Hortons?" My God,
you're going to be mauled that week. You're going to need security at least. You're going to have to run like 2-3 deep. I think.
I'm gonna get the guy from Demand Lucha, their door guy that Davey and Braden know.
We'll talk about Demand Lucha before the end of this. Let's move over to Noah. And I did have a chance to see the recent, the first defense of the GHC heavyweight title by Jake Lee against Katsuhiko Nakajima. I thought this was easily Jake Lee's best performance in Noah so far. I'm not going to go and say the guy is over the hump that we had discussed, because I thought Nakajima was just such an incredible opponent for him. And God, either Nakajima, listen, this guy can legitimately harm some of these people with his offense, but God, is he incredible to watch. And dude, the barrage of kicks, he did this sequence to the chest and the back and did not let up. Just boom, 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 boom. He was treating Lee like a ping pong ball. But this was a great match. 23 minutes to me is like the sweet spot for this level of match, and it was to me the best performance so far I've seen Jake Lee in since coming over.
Yeah, I'm really not excited about him being the champion. Like I think it was a big mistake to take it off Kiyomiya. I still don't understand the rationale of putting it on Jake. But yes, this match was great, mainly because of hey, Jake did his part, but man, Nakajima, holy shit, he was eating him up alive at points in this match, John. It was unreal. And like also Jake's got a really weird character where he's kind of sometimes like acts like a coward, which I don't get. Like, you're the champion, like you're like taller than this dude. You have a legit background as well. Like, you don't have the experience of Nakajima, you don't have the aura of Nakajima, but you don't have to like act like you're afraid of him all the like at points in the match. Or when he came out, he was like that when Marufuji came out to challenge him after the win. And I'm like, this is not a good look. Also, for God's sakes, get rid of this entrance gear. I don't understand what the fuck he's supposed to be. I think he's cosplaying as like like some kind of Renaissance era, like prince, like who doesn't have any sense of color scheme coordination. That's what it screams at me. Like, just wear a goddamn t-shirt. GLG t-shirt. Just wear that to the ring, for God's sakes, Jake. Just get rid of the cape, the buttoned top, whatever the fuck you're wearing. Anyways, it's not as bad as Hayata still, but still, like, just change up the look, please, Jake. Just do me a favor.
So Jake Lee retains, and then this coming Thursday, he will be defending, as WH mentioned, against Naomichi Marufuji. This card has 14 matches announced for Sumo Hall. Won't go through the entire card here, but some of the top matches include Go Shiozaki, Kaito Kiyomiya, who's just in a constant state of rehabilitation, and Yoshiki Inamura against Keno, Katsuhiko Nakajima, and Manabu Soya, who is coming out of the Carnival tournament. National title, Dr. Wagner Jr. defending his national title. Imagine if he cut down to become a junior heavyweight champion. Dr. Wagner junior heavyweight champion.
Amazing. Book it, John.
Defends against Hideki Suzuki, Hayata, and Ninja Mac for the junior heavyweight title. A tag title match with Shuhei Taniguchi and Takashi Sugiura against Saxon Huxley and Timothy Thatcher. You're a big Saxon Huxley guy.
John, I saw this thing where the Japanese sports press called him the Reiwa era, which is like the new era. Like, we have Showa and da-da-da. Now it's Reiwa. He's the Reiwa era Bruiser Brody. I'm like, get the fuck out of here. No, he's not. He's just another fucking guy who's got a big beard and is tall. Who cares? Like, I'm so upset that they broke up the team of Thatcher and Suzuki. That's a much better team. But
the subheading to this match, it's GHC tag title match. Keep exploding.
Sure. Like, like that's what they do in Japan. They, keep exploding. Noah's like got, I don't know what that has to do with the arc, and like voyaging on the sea or anything like that. But yeah, whatever.
Exploding arc. Dralistico against Rey Escorpion and a martial arts rules match between Masakatsu Funaki and Shinya Aoki. That we'll be curious to see. We're also going to get Josh Barnett on commentary for a
John,
portion
we got to
of the show.
get Eric Marcotte to like just review that one match, Aoki versus Funaki there.
How is your Noah intake? I'm in and out on Noah, but I will certainly at least catch a portion of this card.
I watched this entire Green Journey show from Sendai, John. I watched the entire thing. I just sat through it, and there were high points, there were low points. It's okay. It's an okay product overall. It doesn't excite me. It doesn't.
It's tough to be an okay product in the current landscape.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of great products.
One thing I like the fact that they use a lot of people from Mexico. Like they use a lot of people from the Lucha scene, and they use them in a smart way in that they treat them as like integrating them into like the title scenes sometimes, but also as an exhibition match in some respects. Like, okay, this is something different. Like you don't see that pretty much in any other company in Japan. It's like you have like legit luchador match. Sometimes they'll insert like a guy like Alejandro who's Japanese or Amakusa in there, which is great, or Ninja Mac who's American. But I really like the diversity that they have with the foreign talent that they bring in, not just from Mexico, but from the UK and from the United States. It's a nice diverse thing. But my only thing is like I don't understand why they just constantly cut the legs off their younger talent, like Kiyomiya, Masakita Miya just lost the tag titles after only like 2 defenses. It's like, and Inaba was like on his way to getting rehabilitated. You screwed him over now. I don't get it, John. It's why it's just an okay product for me. And I'm just hoping Go's coming back. Like he's healthy, he can stay healthy, and then he can, add some juice to this roster. I'm very excited about Marufuji and Jake, though. I think Marufuji, when he is very motivated, will put on an excellent performance. And I predict he's going to have a very good match with Jake Lee.
And I did catch up a bit on the Champion Carnival, which is going to be wrapping up next weekend. So over the weekend, Shotaro Ishino won the B block. So we had 4 tournament matches for the final day of the B block on Sunday in Osaka. Manabu Soya defeated Takeo Omori, who was left with 0 points after this whole tournament. Won in 9 minutes and 2 seconds with his Wild Bomber Lariat. Fine match. I mean, for Takeo Omori, who has been, he's mid to early 50s. He's not as old as we maybe assume he is. Still getting around. Got an Omori driver in here for a 2 count. Decent match for what it was. And Soya adds 2 points, so he has 8 to finish the tournament. Hokuto Omori and Yuma Anzai, who are 2 of the younger talents in All Japan. Anzai is only 23 years of age. They had a very nice match here, and it was won by Omori with the Muso Isan. I think I'm pronouncing that right. A sit-out cross-legged fisherman driver, 9 minutes and 4 seconds. Yuma Anzai, I think, had a very good tournament, and the fact that they booked him here to, go competitive with a number of your big guns here in the B block. He finishes both of these guys finished with 6 points. Do you see a lot in these 2?
Yeah, I think they do. For sure. And they realize like, hey, we gotta, if we got someone talented coming through our dojo, we need to like try to keep them and try to keep them happy and try to push them. And I think it's a good idea. Like Yuma Anzai is like someone I have a lot of hopes for to become a big player in All Japan and kind of lead the company into the future.
He got the big Nagata endorsement when he was debuted. Yeah.
And then, be the guy who like, takes the torch from ultimately takes the torch from Kento Miyahara. But like I've watched most of the Champions Carnival. There's some like anything with the Saito brothers. I don't care what some of these people I see on Twitter say. I am not watching a Saito brothers match. I don't care how good you think they've become. No, I'm not watching that. But day 1, Aoyagi versus Miyahara, worth watching. Day 2, Aoyagi versus T-Hawk, worth watching. Day 3, there's 4 matches I thought were worth watching on day 3 from Nagoya, John. Miyahara versus Ryuki Honda, T-Hawk versus Kojima, Anzai versus Shotaro Ishino, Suwama versus Soya. Go out of your way to watch those. Day 4, nothing. I didn't think there's anything worth watching on this. I could have skipped that. Hamamatsu, great city. Their dumplings, fantastic. highly recommend those. In Nishikawa, day 5, Ishikawa versus Anzai. That's a fun match. Honda versus Aoyagi. And again, these are all pretty relatively short matches, John. Very easily digestible.
Dude, the Champion Carnival is something like you can blitz through in a weekend and get caught up on. Of like, you're just find some match recommendations. Like maybe your main event is gonna go. Your main event is not top in 20, and the undercard, like these are Cinderella style matches.
Exactly. Day 6, Ashino versus Suwama. Finally, he did it. He beat Suwama. So that was fun to watch. Day 7, Kojima versus Miyahara. Very good match. And then, Ashino versus Ishikawa in Osaka for day 8. I'm very excited. So Ashino's in B block. The 3 leaders of A block are Miyahara, Honda, and T-Hawk. Is right? So Ashino has history with all these guys. With Miyahara, of course, they're like kind of rivals since he's come into All Japan. Honda's his tag team partner. Mm-hmm. And T-Hawk is the guy who dethroned him for the Wrestle 1 title several years ago. And so they have that history. So he can face, I think it would be a great match if he faced any of them. I'm going to say it's Miyahara going to the finals, but I think it's time to pull the trigger on Shotaro Ashino. As you know, John, I'm a huge fan of this guy, and I think it's time to push him again, win the Carnival. Him and Nagata, holy shit, that will be an awesome match, and I think it's time to belt Shotaro Ashino in All Japan.
Yeah, the way Sunday show ended, like you had Rei Saito and Suwama go to a double countout to ensure that they would be non-factors in who came out of the B block, and then it was Ashino beating Shuji Ishikawa, submitting him in the middle of the ring with the ankle lock in 14 minutes. So Ashino advances. The final A block show is on Thursday at Korakuen Hall, and the main matches are Ryuki Honda against Jun Saito, which I feel is going to end probably with Saito spoiling that one, and it'll come down to Miyahara and T-Hawk in the main event, and then the winner, well, whoever comes out of those 3 that WH mentioned will face Ashino on Sunday. I could see them going with Miyahara, but I do feel like this should be, I think, Ashino's tournament. I think that this is the one to just go all the way with Ashino. It's a fresh match with Yuji Nagata, and I just feel Miyahara is kind of the safe bet that they can avoid going that route. So I'm leaning towards Ashino.
I feel with Miyahara, there's something that he can, like, there's a way you can use him actually in Pro Wrestling Noah, because he still has to have a singles match with Nakajima, right? He hasn't really paid off the thing he started with either Kitamiya and Nakajima. You gotta remember, Miyahara, Nakajima, Kitamiya were all members of Kensuke Sasaki's Diamond Ring, right? They're all trained by him. So you have that history that they're playing up in Noah. They haven't really done anything with that. I think don't let him win the Carnival. Don't put the title back on him. And let him do a storyline in Noah with him. Like, he's still in All Japan, but do the storyline there. Shit, I'd put the GHC belt on him. I think that would garner a lot of interest. I think he would kill it a bit more than Jake has as the champion. But that's just fantasy booking. But I don't think it needs. Miyahara does not ever need to win the Champion Carnival or be the Triple Crown champion again. So give it to Ashino. It's his time.
I'm with you. I like that way a lot. And just, they put him over so definitively over Shuji Ishikawa. It just seems like this would be the year to go with Ashino. So I'm sure when we do our next show, we will be lamenting why they went with Kento Miyahara to win the Carnival again. And we're getting ready for, what do you see as the end goal for this Yuji Nagata Triple Crown reign? I think I like the fact he was not in the Carnival, that they're going to keep him to limited defenses, special matches, and not overdo it with him. But who do you see benefiting from the Nagata reign at the end?
I'm thinking Ashino. I think Ashino's going to win the Carnival, and Nagata should lose the match to the Carnival winner. And I would imagine they're going to do it at a venue like Sumo Hall to work on like the kind of drawing power that Nagata has still to some degree. Like let's book it at Sumo Hall. Try to get some interpromotional stuff in there as well. And then, it's a fresh match, John. It's an exciting match. I would, like, if I was still in Numazu, I would travel to go see Nagata versus Ashino for the Triple Crown. Like, and I'm not super high right now on All Japan, because I do think there's like a lot of problems with it. the booking of the Voodoo Murderers again in this company is terrible. And there's some like really diamonds in the rough in this company, but overall, like, and I hate saying this because like I've always been a fan of this brand, and so like, but that would get me out the door to go see that match would be Ashino, especially if I think there's a really strong chance that Ashino is gonna ascend and rightfully become Triple Crown champion in All Japan.
Yeah, and sometimes we forget, like, Ashino is 33 years old. Like, this guy's in the prime of his career and has, might not be even at his ceiling yet. And when it comes to, your Suamas, your Ishikawas, to me, like, an Ashino should be like 1B right next to Miyahara, sort of as your long-term guys.
Carries himself. You ever see him in press conferences and the way he appears in public? Like, he dresses like he wears suits a lot. He just wears like, does a lot of like high, brand clothing. He tries to present himself like I'm a star. It comes across in his promos, comes across his wrestling, comes across in his stuff outside the ring for the company. You'd be stupid not to. The only one that's equal to him in that regard is Miyahara, like in the way he presents himself as a champion. You're stupid not to really go the distance with Ashino, because I think he'll really bring a prestige to your company as your main event guy.
Last thing before we wrap up for this month, over the last 6 weeks, you and I have gone to 3 wrestling shows together.
Right.
We went to GCW, then we went to Impact, the Rebellion pay-per-view, and then we went to Demand Lucha this past week in downtown Toronto. I talked about this on Rewind to SmackDown, but I had so much fun at that Demand Lucha show. It was just such a great time to go. It was my favorite show of the 3 that we went to recently. But what were some of your highlights of our live event experiences, WA, besides the pre-show meals?
That's right, the tacos and the burritos. So this is my second time to Demand Lucha, and I like the first show I went to. I like this venue, Parkdale Hall. I think it's awesome.
Great location.
Honestly, like if you are running a show in Toronto, like I haven't been to like recent like Smash, or I've never been to like Super Kicked or Greektown, so I don't know what their venues are like. But like compared to the Opera House, this place is 1,000 times better. There's not a bad sight line in the entire building. You can watch it standing up. You can watch it sitting down for the most part.
And there was a ton of standing room only in the they could have fit like more people in standing wise, but this place was packed. Like there had to have been 400 people in this
great
venue.
atmosphere.
Like, great atmosphere from the first match onwards. They were into everything. And each match, it's kind of escalating until you get to the main event, where you had Aris and Gringo Loco and the surprise of Commander joining in. But this crowd was amazing. I just thought they were so heated for everything, and just a fun wrestling crowd. And talk a bit about your favorite tag team. Well, with all due respect to House of Torture and such, this is your, I think, legit favorite live tag team.
Los Medicos. They're awesome.
They're great. Like old school evil heel lucha doctors.
That's right. And they wear scrubs. They wear latex gloves. Though the bigger guy, he loses them because I think they just disintegrate from all the sweat
that dude
he's generating.
Move, I mean,
that guy is very impressive. Here's the thing: I don't even know what their individual names are. Their manager, he's like got his brain exposed. His mask is his brain exposed, and they have their other manager is Doc. I don't know if she's a doctor. I think she's a doctor. Nova Kane, it's a great name, by the way. But it's a fun act. They're really good.
Their music is like this old, like it would be some like this creepy instrumental that you would expect out of like a 60s like lucha drama or something like that. It's just it's a great act that they have, and they took on the main event, who are regulars with House of Glory, and I mean they just do some great stuff together, like the dive through the ring. I mean, and this crowd, they just ate everything up. It was just so much fun, and they have this loaded show next month that we're planning to go back to with Speedball on the show. So that'll be just after, well, about a month after Best of the Super Juniors. They've got Vikingo announced for this, and Brian Cage against Sam Adonis they announced.
There you go. It's a fun show. I'm looking forward to like hanging out with you, Braden Davey, Mike, and the kids. You know, he's always bringing.
It was a party.
Shows.
Yeah, we were fun. We had quite a lot. It was a great time. I'm definitely going to go back for the next show. So
maybe we'll get Way to come out with us this time.
I've tried. He said he's going to try and make one this year. He said this year. So
Okay.
we will get way out one of these nights. But that's going to wrap things up. Later on this week, on Wednesday, Bruce Lord and Karen Peterson are going to have a show on the Post Wrestling Cafe covering Wrestling Dontaku. So look out for that. They will have a whole rundown of that show for Post Cafe members.
He was there. We have to mention.
That's right. That's right. Bruce Lord was there for Demand Lucha. He was in town, and he's coming back for Forbidden Door. So we will be hanging out with Bruce in the coming weeks. But also up on the site now, up at postwrestling.com, the latest edition of the Long and Winding Royal Road. I'm always glad when Dylan Fox stops by, and he was the guest with WH, chatting about a super heated match from December of 2000.
It's amazing. Interpromotional, the start. Really, of interpromotional in Japan, John, was like this feud with, because this is the post Noah Exodus. So Motoko Baba's like, what can I do to keep this company afloat? Okay, I'm gonna contact New Japan, and what can we do? Well, we want Kawada versus Sasaki. Okay, we want Kawada to wrestle in New Japan. Okay, so they put the title on the returning Tenryu. So Kawada's free to just go hang out with the New Japan boys. And here's the thing: the revelation is Masafuchi. Because up until this point, for the last 5 years, he's just a mid-card comedy 6-man guy. He's not used in any significant manner. When I started watching All Japan, John, I didn't even know who he was. That's how low he was on the card at the time when I started watching All Japan. He's in this match, and my God, he turns it up. He is just the greatest old school style prick heel, just beaten, doing like everything behind the ref's back to like fuck up Nagata and Iizuka. It's amazing. And Iizuka, this is when Iizuka was good. No iron fingers inside. He's still got hair, John. I love this version of Iizuka. Go watch this match. Watch the match, listen to the show. I always have a fun time talking with Dylan. So like we'll have him on. Should I reveal who I've scheduled for the next one, John?
I think you should tease everyone. Yes. Who is coming up in this month?
He likes to talk about, money in wrestling a lot. He's part of the Post Wrestling family. So his name begins with Brandon and ends in Thurston. So we're scheduled to be talking sometime in May. We're gonna have it for May. And and he says he's coming to Toronto for Forbidden Door probably. So we'll be hanging.
I think
out with
everyone's
him
coming up to Toronto for
everyone's
Forbidden
coming.
Door. Yes. So
listen, Karen, I know you're listening. Why don't you just bite the bullet and just come to Toronto, hang out with us here at Post Wrestling in Toronto? Maybe the fans will see you, me, John, outside of Sneaky D's out in the wild.
Well, look forward to that. It's going to be a huge week here in Toronto, Forbidden Door week. Stay tuned for more. But for WH Park, I am John Pollock. Thank you to everybody for tuning in, and we will speak with you soon.